What's happening, guys? Derek here with Ford Banger. Been a while since I've posted some content. There's been a lot that's been going on over the last 5 or 6 weeks or so, and I'm pushing crunch time now, trying to get out there to Florida. Gotta go down to Florida for the winter time, and you know they got NASA Winterfest down there we're trying to get ready for. So I'm gonna show you guys some changes and some things here that I'm working on, some things that are have been done. Let's see what we got. So first thing is we got Ford Banger back, and she is not all banged up anymore. I don't know if you guys can see that, but got her back from the body shop, and quarters fixed, bumpers fixed, fenders are good, hood's good, bumper freshly painted, sitting on the ground waiting to go on. So she got her name Ford Banger because obviously she was banged up. It's how we made her a race car in the first place. So we're gonna stick with Ford Banger here for a while. Some upgrades on. Just kind of trying to give a quick overview here to show what's going on. Is the first thing is VMP offers a couple different intercoolers for this thing. Obviously, the race brick being one, which comes with the big water manifold, or obviously you can purchase it with the ability to run 1-inch lines. Now, most people I know don't run 1-inch lines. I haven't found too many videos of people on here that have or are running 1-inch lines. There are some pretty big complications with doing that, and I'm sitting here trying to piece all that stuff together now. So first thing to mention is that I got Palm Beach Dyno's 2-inch heat exchanger down here, which have the fittings to allow you to be able to run the 1-inch lines also there and here on the side. So all the hoses that I'm putting on here I've replaced with silicone hoses. You can see there's a silicone elbow there, and then obviously these big giant red lines that are here. One of the complications that we're kind of dealing with right now, where is it, is this line right here. So this line has your coolant pump trigger that tells it to turn on, turn off, based on whatever your coolant temperature is that is coming out of your supercharger. So that obviously that's got to be eliminated. Something has to be done with that. Well, given the fact that we're after maximum cooling almost immediately, the idea here was to as we had run before, I don't know if you guys had seen the previous videos, but we ran Whipple's dual coolant pump setup here. So we tied into the wiring that was heading up to the relay and the fuse box up here. We pretty much piggybacked off of that, increased the fuse from a 10 amp to a 15 amp, which we'll find out as we get into it for time running if that's going to end up being enough or not. We'll keep an eye on that if we've got to do 20, but we wanted to keep it to a 15 if we could, due to the size of the factory wiring for the actual factory pump. It's actually more of like a 18 or 20 gauge, and the one that comes with the Whipple pump itself is like a 16 gauge, so a little bit bigger wire. They're kind of concerned with the factory size, even though the factory size is only a piece that's about that big, but wanted to kind of stick true to the amperage with the wiring there. So we've got 2 coolant pumps, which are supposed to run 40% more volume. That volume obviously is going to push through a bigger intercooler, bigger lines, which as you increase the line size, obviously you increase the water volume, but you slow down the rate of flow. So by the 40%, or that's what it says online, capacity of flow, we are going to hopefully stick a little closer to what like this actually was moving as far as gallons per minute came from the factory. With the VMP closed air box and the Odin ice tank, using the Odin ice tank for the most part as a coolant catch for the supercharger system. As you can see here, we've got the 1-inch line ran for the return. The only thing that I'm debating about now, just because I don't think it's necessary, is obviously there is this valve here, which allowed a return into the factory coolant tank there. I don't think that it's necessary to keep that. There's actually a check valve in here. I believe it has something to do with allowing the air to bleed out of this system. I mean, when you drain the original coolant system that's in this out of the supercharger, pull lines, you don't have to bleed anything at all. It pumps. It does what it's supposed to. I think with the amount of water that's going to be moving, and the fact that this return is at the highest point, I don't think that it's going to be necessary, but the return does start up here. It drops down, so if there is any air, that air potentially still can get caught in this upper area that's here. So we are going to choose to leave it and see how that part of things goes. So it would run from here through the check valve, and then down here into the top spot. Originally we had this up here, but then figured with the smaller coolant line that's ran, we would probably want to switch that to where the bigger one's on the bottom and the smaller one is on the top. And then a little tough to see in there, but as you can see, the hole right there, that's going to be the bottom of the tank. That line is going to run down here, and then which is going to be, we're going to cut that part of the silicone line, we're going to run that from there, and then we're going to drop it in right here. I actually have a reducer fitting, or silicone hose, I guess, coming that's a 3/4 to a 1-inch elbow, so that we can run 1 inch. The only places that we're going to have to run 3/4 are going to be here at the tip of this pump, for the most part at the tip of the pump here, and then the bypass that's here. So it'll actually increase for a little more pressure here as things get kind of dumbed down, kind of thinking about like a shower. If you run 3/4 inch lines in your house, then reduce it down to a 1/2 inch to get more pressure. It'll build up some more pressure down in this area to put it through the heat exchanger and shoot it back up into the supercharger up top. So things are going pretty well with this. It's kind of a slow process, just waiting on fittings and hoses and things of that nature. A couple other things here that I'm working on is when we had the thing on the frame machine, and this didn't have to do with the actual body itself being bent, but I had Steeda front springs on this thing and stock rear springs. And one of the things that we noticed was our ride height was not even all the way through. And there's other videos online of other guys with this. And, ride heights vary, anywhere between, 1/2 an inch or a little less, all the way up to even an inch sometimes when you put springs on this and loads and weight balance and things like that. So I think we're going to try AJ Hartman Arrows front spring and rear spring perch kit with the Steeda springs that allow you to add shims in the front and then adjust the rear. So we'll do a video on that once we get those in here in about a week or so. Like I said, just a quick overview here to just kind of show some things. Moving from the JLT to, all the VMP stuff. The VMP stuff is just built for itself. Everything fits kind of like a puzzle piece. They've got all those things figured out. And then, questioning some of the air intake temps that we were running with the JLT open box. The JLT open box is definitely proven on a dyno with an open hood. But when you're out here road racing, I think some of that engine heat and some of that negative pressure that's created underneath of the hood is making for some messed up air intake temps. So we're going to close it off again, just like Shelby originally did with their air box, so that it's just pulling, cool air from there, obviously cool air from the ducts here. And one more thing that was done, which is going to be an important piece here when it comes to some testing, is we went back to the factory size lines. Extremely convinced that SPE's lines are not suitable for track use. Now, I've called SPE and they've pretty much written me off, oh, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. Our lines are fine. And they just passed me off as I tried to explain to them the data and some of the things that I was dealing with out there on the track, and they tell me that their lines are fine. But the thing is that the SPE, which obviously this is a mess, these SPE lines are significantly smaller on the inside. I mean, they are like a whole size down from what the factory lines are. I mean, I showed another video that showed the inside of these lines compared to the inside of the factory lines, and volume difference, the flow difference is so much. We think that is restricting the amount of coolant that we're able to pull out of the transmission, cool properly, and get back into the system. So also, grabments, Fat House Performance, transmission, pan that allows you to add another quart and a half of transmission fluid. And then one more thing that was done too was I had ordered some special fittings if the transmission line thing does work out, to be able to run a bigger dash 8 or dash 10 line if I don't want to continue to run the factory line setup. So right now we're going to go back to the factory lines. We're going to get some testing. We're going to get some data. We're going to see what the difference is. Is this transmission still overheating when we're out there for extended times on the track, or is it not? And if that data comes back conclusive that we are not overheating anymore, the SPE lines are not suitable for track use. So that's something that, if that's the case, we're going to blast all over online. We're going to let people know, you know, if you're track using this car for any extended period of time of your racing, not to use that line setup. They are too small. So with that said, everything is a mess. The car is a mess. The shop's a mess. We've got parts and tools and pieces and just stuff absolutely everywhere as we're getting this car pulled apart and getting things put back together. Just no time for cleanliness at the moment. So I will keep you guys posted on where this build ends up. Try to do another video here in a day or so to just kind of keep everybody up to, you know, where the whole coolant line thing ends up, how that works out, the routing that we chose to do, some of the sizes and lengths of the stuff that we did, and ultimately look hopefully at being able to put a kit together that allows you to actually truly run these 1-inch lines without a bunch of guesswork and stuff like that. So hopefully be able to put that on the market so somebody can just purchase that with all the lines, the fittings, the hoses, the things like that that they need. So yeah, a lot of progress on the body, you know, and we'll see about getting ready here soon. And, you know, like always, Ford Banger out.